Welcome to the Frozen Layer podcast, brought to you by ZenTek Consultant CA, where we will discuss all things related to the CAD, BIM, and construction markets, with a little humor thrown in for good measure. I am your host, Steve Fahey. Let's get into it. Good morning, and welcome to the Frozen Layer podcast. Our goal with the Frozen Layer is to share valuable information that our CAD, BIM, and construction clients will find useful and help them increase productivity, just like freezing a layer in CAD. I'm pleased to have Cyndy Davenport joining me today. Cyndy has in excess of 30 years experience implementing and supporting technology in the CAD, BIM construction fields. She has co-authored 3 books on mastering Civil 3D, has been an instructor at Autodesk University. Usually, I do this intro when Cyndy and I are doing our Civil 3D webinars. Welcome to your first Frozen Layer podcast.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
I'd like to talk today about basically like a foundation tool within Civil 3D templates. Civil 3D ships with templates included. Why do so many firms invest in customizing their templates?
Because the Civil 3D templates, although they are based on the NCS standard, the look of and the labels that they produce are not necessarily what is produced in where people live in their regions. I mean, I live in southeastern Virginia, and I can say that in different areas of Virginia, plans look different, profiles look different, the way we label elevations look different. Even between, an adjacent state, the way that we put sanitary sewer and profile looks different. So, there's always that level of customization that's needed, in order just to make your plans look like something people can review and follow.
Okay, excellent. What process do you use to help people figure out what standard they need to set up for their company in Civil 3D?
Well, usually when I sit down with people who want their standards developed in Civil 3D, basically, do they have any existing CAD standards? Of course, that's the first question. If they don't, then, maybe we talk about going on to the NCS layering standard. Beyond the actual layers and all of that, I would ask for a set of plans that they want their standards to reflect. And that's usually what I work off of, is that set of plans.
Okay, so sort of follow along what they already have in place and just make Civil 3D grow to fit what they have.
Yes.
I hear a lot of clients say that when they first moved to Civil 3D, the output looked so different from what they were creating in the past that it didn't even look like the same company, because companies they want to have a presentation that if somebody walks by, they'll look and say, oh, that's XYZ Engineering's plan. I know just from looking at it. And so it was important for them to try and have that copied over. What sort of gets into the next question here. What are the biggest differences you find in setting up a higher end vertical solution like Civil 3D versus the old standards that we had in systems like AutoCAD?
The differences?
Yeah,
I'm sorry, could you rephrase it? The difference?
Just like setting up this template in Civil 3D compared to setting up the template in AutoCAD.
Oh, well, AutoCAD is part of it. I mean, Civil 3D is built on top of AutoCAD.
Yep.
As a matter of fact, it's built on top of AutoCAD map. But so you have to build your CAD standards in. That's probably the first thing you do. Build it into the template before you can build the Civil 3D standards in. And the Civil 3D standards have to do with the Civil 3D settings, things like precision, things like, annotation. What do you want your annotation to look like? The content of your annotation. You build your layer standards into your Civil 3D standards. Then you have to develop your object styles, which controls what your surfaces, what your alignments, what your profiles look like, all of that. And so, there's the only difference is that in Civil 3D, you have more to do. You have the Civil 3D settings and styles to develop. You still have the AutoCAD standards in Civil 3D, but then you have on top of that the settings and styles.
Yeah, so AutoCAD is the foundation. AutoCAD Maps the foundation to Civil 3D, and then you have to add on everything that Civil 3D is looking for.
Right. Mhm.
Yeah, okay. Um, do you find once you have a company's templates set up that it's sort of out of sight, out of mind, that's it, we've done it, we're good? Or do you find it sort of makes sense to take a look at them and maybe modify them from time to time?
Well, sometimes that's the case, and then other times, as people are working on different types of project, they have additional needs. Uh, certain projects demand certain workflows and maybe certain workarounds and, labeling standards. And, I'm doing work for this uh, utility entity that requires us to make our profiles look like this. There's always additional, the template is never finished, I have to say. It's
Yeah,
always growing. There's always things being added to it, whether, people take their templates and they develop them themselves and push it further along, or, they bring it back to somebody like me and say, okay, we have, these additional things. Could you please develop them for us? There's always that. Some of the stuff that I do to develop doesn't directly impact the template, but it impacts the environment and like catalogs, pulling catalogs into your drawing environment, and specifically like gravity pipe and pressure pipe. And so I do a lot of development in the area of DOT structures and all, or if people want their pressure pipes to function in a certain way and produce certain labels and to be, have certain dimensions, I can do that too. So in Civil 3D, it's not just what's inside the drawing file that needs to be customized. It's also, the environment that needs attention.
yeah, excellent. All right. Um, we offer training for clients on their Civil 3D templates that we create within our Kickstarter program. Uh, why is training an important part of the process if we help somebody set up their templates?
Well, so they can understand how things are set up. I mean, in Civil 3, the template settings are hierarchical, meaning that you start at a certain level and then it's like a tree and you work your way down to the different branches and then, make your tweaks and make your overrides. But you set up your base settings at the top. So people need to understand that hierarchical structure and what settings affect others. Why when I create a style are these defaults, being pushed in to my new settings. So people need to understand that.
Yeah, it's an important part of the process of how
Hmm.
things are built so that you understand how
Yeah.
it's going to work for you.
If
Yeah,
they are in the middle of a project and they need to do something minor, like do a variation of a style, they know how to do that.
yeah, excellent. All right, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back. Today's Frozen Layer podcast is being brought to you by our ZenTek training division. ZenTek has a variety of training options available, from public courses, private group courses, on-demand courses, as well as custom courses to meet all your design needs. We offer training in Bluebeam, Autodesk, Procore, and BricsCAD, with options from beginner through to advanced. To learn more, visit our website, zentekconsultants.net, or give us a call, 866-824-4459, or you can email sales@zentekconsultants.net. ZenTek Consultants CA for all your technology consulting needs. Welcome back. Cyndy, you mentioned earlier Civil 3D pressure pipes. Can you let our listeners know a little bit more about a tool that we've developed, ZenPipe for Civil 3D pressure networks?
Sure. It's a catalog. It's a pressure pipe catalog, of course. And it offers up just a generic set of pipes that you can use. And when you pull them into your part list in the description, you can put in what material they are. But basically, whereas you have the Civil 3D catalogs that they offer you, uh, a a weird choice to choose from with AWWA ratings and PSIs and all of that. In this one, we just say we have, for instance, valves, gate valves. We have in one of in our larger pipe catalog, we have 4 to 24 inch gate valves. If you want a gate valve, you just pull a gate valve. You don't have to pick the PSI or the AWWA rating. And so that's what it is. It's just a basic catalog with your basic needs in it. And you can customize it to be what you want when you add it to your part list, whether you want to add a material description to it or not, And it has fire hydrants. It has, for industrial sites, it has check valves. And so we tried to give it just a basic offering in the catalog of what people would need to do commercial or residential sites.
That kind of makes using pressure pipe networks in Civil 3D a little more tolerable, because when you speak to people, they like what it can do but find it quite confusing, and the labels don't seem to make sense, and so it makes it a little easier for them.
Yeah, the catalogs, there are several catalogs, and not all of them have everything you need. So, for instance, you might pull one catalog in and may not have fire hydrants in it. So you have to figure out, okay, which catalog has a fire hydrant, because I have to pull that catalog in also, pull the fire hydrants from that one. So this one, hopefully to people, it's all inclusive. It has everything you would need in it, but you don't have a lot of verbose choices to make. It doesn't offer a lot of them, a lot of choices that are very confusing to people.
We offer a lot of Civil 3D courses, as you know, because you deliver a lot of them. What's your favorite course to deliver?
Oh, I would have to say my favorite course is Subassembly Composer.
Okay.
It's just a little bit different, and it's a tool that, it's not really graphical. You have to think about relationships between certain items, certain components that you bring into it, and set up the parametric relationships, and you're just building your subassemblies, and programming into them the way that you want them to behave when the situation is this or that. I like that class. It's just a little bit different than the norm.
Yeah, it's nice to get a break sometimes from the more traditional classes and do something a little bit different. It's more enjoyable sometimes. I know I was never a strong Civil 3D user, but I could always sort of fight my way through when I was younger, and I always used to like playing with vehicle tracking. I just always thought it was like playing a game. Like, how can I finish the puzzle and put it together that everything is going to work and have the cars and the trucks go through. When I was younger and worked in a warehouse, and back before rules and safety was really much of a concern. I remember working one night and the boss saying, I need an 18-wheeler moved from that end of the building down to the other one and back into door number 2 from door number 7, and they throw me the keys and say, figure it out. So, going out and starting up an 18-wheeler and figuring out all the air brakes and moving it around the parking lot and backing it in, and it worked out. I didn't hit anything, and the first time I did it, I backed it in perfectly, and every other time after that, never once got it as good as the first time. But when I was fooling around with vehicle tracking, it always brought back those memories of driving the 18-wheeler around the parking lot. So, are there any topics that we didn't touch on today that you feel are kind of important based on the conversation we had around templates and pressure pipe networks training? We touched on a lot of different things, but is there anything we didn't discuss that you would like to add?
Well, there are customizations beyond just the template and the catalogs that I have done before. Sheet set templates is one of them. And it's not just the template, it's the entire sheet set. I, set people up so that they start out with a set of drawings that they're empty, but a set of drawings that are linked together in a way that, they would deliver their project, so that they don't have to set everything up from scratch or take another project they've done and copy it forward, they always start out with a sheet set template of drawings, and it's already connected up to the sheet set. All you have to do is take that folder, drag and drop it, into the project folder, and then open up the sheet set manager and, change project name, fill in all the blanks, project number and all of that. And the title blocks automatically fill up. And the thing is, when you set up sheet set manager, you no longer need to XREF information in title blocks. Everything just automatically populates from the sheet set, so you don't have to deal with blocks and XREFs and just for the title block anymore. So that increases people's productivity. When we provide stuff like that, and other things that I've done before would be to set up people on tool palettes. A place where people can pull the right blocks in at the right time, or even you can pull labels in. If you have standard labels you pull in, maybe Civil 3D doesn't have a label that covers a certain thing, but you can set up your labels and drag and drop them in, and that increases productivity. Plus, it keeps people on the standard, using the standard, making sure they're not creating stuff from scratch that might vary from the standard. So. Yeah, there are other areas besides just the drawing file and maybe the catalogs that you can go beyond and standardized for your team.
Yeah, and like you say, the consistency of output and reduction of errors would be huge by having your sheet set settings and tool belts all set up. That's a really good point. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Well, that's it for me today, and I'd like to thank Cyndy for joining us on the Frozen Layer podcast. Until next time, keep freezing those layers.